What's happening, everyone? Today, this very green St. Patrick's Day, we have a special guest.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! Woohoo! You're wearing green. I'm wearing green.
I know.
I'm not Irish, though.
Well, I am, especially today. And I have a 3-year-old, and she has like red hair, like and an attitude. So if you're not Irish, she's got plenty of Irish for everyone.
I love it. That's cool for her. I love it.
She's I'm pretty sure she's like 75 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she has had enough of being a toddler. She's had it.
I love it.
And she it's kind of weird, and I don't know, like I'm gonna get into like beliefs here and everything, but my grandma, she had red hair, and she kind of had like a little bit of a lisp, and her name was Alice. And
she had to be a little Irish.
Well, oh yeah. Oh, certainly. And so every time that my daughter has like a doll or something, she names it Alice. And she has a lisp, and she's left-handed. So it's like,
I'm left-handed too.
Really?
Thank heavens we have to hang together because the world is against us.
It really is.
It is.
You remember the Simpsons episodes where Flanders opened up the leftorium?
Oh yeah.
For left-handed people?
It's we need it. Absolutely.
It's such everything costs so much more for left-handed people.
Well, and they don't have anything for left. You've got to find it like scissors. Did you know I can't use regular scissors? I got to have left-handed scissors.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Refrigerator. You guys always open it with the right hand. No, I'm a lefty, so I got to do that. And I write with my left hand. And I remember when I was in grade school, I was in parochial school the first few years, and the nuns, they didn't like it that I was a left-hander. This is a bad thing. You got to be right-handed. So most left-handers write like this, you know, kind of arched. I don't. I write just like a right-hander, except it's left. And I used to cry. No, I'm left-handed. I can't do the right hand. And I told my dad, I went home one night. He's a dad like you, really cares. And I said, Dad, I can't change. He came to school with me, and he told the nun, God made her with a left hand. You leave her alone. She's a left-handed person. Leave her. She's not going to change. And the rest of the time, it stayed the way I am.
Well, that is, it's literally true. The brain is different.
Absolutely.
And so, like, to torture somebody and try to make them into a right-handed person,
it's not possible.
Yeah.
And if they do, their handwriting is going to be so scribbled, it's unreal because we're not used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a broken arm. It had to do with my dogs. We were on a walk not too far from here, as a matter of fact. And I made the mistake of saying hello to a neighbor, you know, and I wasn't paying attention. And I went over the top of my one dog and stretched out my arm because she kept walking, you know, and I broke my arm. I had to do everything with my right hand. Now, being on the air, same thing. I mean, I run a board. I run my show with 3 computers. And so, like, I had to have both hands going, and I couldn't. And it was just terrible. I couldn't write, hardly type. I mean, it was obnoxious for 6 weeks. Unreal. Jeez. Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's, at least you healed, right? I mean, you're good now, right?
I ain't got time.
You know, I didn't give you a proper introduction. This is Mary Jane Popp, everyone.
Hello.
She's a legend in the radio business. We have her book right here, Marilyn, Joe, and Me.
I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, well, tell us so how'd you get started in this? You said 40 or 50 years?
Almost 50 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to be honest with you, it started before I got into radio and television because from 10 years old on, I was singing at conventions across the country, Voice of America. I was doing all these different things. And I was at Indiana University. I worked on my bachelor's, my master's, and I was working on my PhD. And someone dared me to go audition for a television show. I'm serious. It was just a dare. And I went, oh, what have I got to lose? You know, they're going to say no. I've been told no by better people. So I went. About 9 weeks later, I get a call back and they say, we'd like to see you. And I said, oh, well, they're doing callbacks, you know, or whatever. I got there and they said, okay, can you put a show on the air in 2 weeks? And I went, what? I'd never done that. I was a singer. I was a performer. I did musical comedy. I did plays, all that kind of stuff. But I'd never hosted a television show.
Wow.
But I learned in 2 weeks. I got the show on the air.
What was the show?
It was called, what was it? Studio 4 was the first one that I did. And what it was is in Indianapolis, Indiana. And the station was WTTV, which was the number one independent station in the country at the time. And I thought, okay, well, I just got to give this a shot. And I kind of looked up everything that I could think of, and all I thought of was, what would people want to see on the show? What would be fun to do? And I had to direct it for the most part, as like you're doing, in a studio. It was a big studio, but still, I had to call the shots.
Right.
So anyway, I did that for about 4 years. And also I did another show for the same station. It was called Starlight Backstage. So it was like our music circus in Sacramento. And they used to have a lot of stars back then, just like they did here. They don't do that hardly anymore. They just have Broadway shows coming through. And I had the likes of Paul Lynde and Rock Hudson and, just wonderful people there that I got to interview. And I was still a novice. I hadn't done TV that much. Then I came out to Sacramento. That's a whole long story. Sometime I'll have to come back and give you that story. But I'm here. We came, actually, I came in 1977. And I really didn't go back into television because I was supposed to be on TV here, but you'll learn about this. Programmers on TV and radio, it changes a lot,
Oh.
I worked for one station, honestly, that 4 or 5 programmers in 1 year. They keep, changing and saying they got to do new programming.
Is that like a producer?
No. Programmer, how do I explain a programmer? Yes, it is, but they also decide other programs and what's going to be on the air, which is okay. But they listen to a lot, and I think they still do, both radio and television. They have focus groups. Have you ever heard of focus groups? Oh, my God.
Gotta love them.
12 or 14 people in this little room, and they show snippets of you on the air, or you hear snippets of you on the air, and then they ask all these stupid questions. I mean, do you find this person, if it's a female, sexy? What the hell does that have to do with news, and talk radio or television? But questions like that. Focus groups. And they also listen to the consultants that would come from like Boston or, someplace across the country. What do they know about Sacramento?
Yeah.
And they're here for like 3 or 4 days, and then they come in and try and tell you how to run your show. You'll love this. It was at KFBK, actually, for a while. And they would come in. I would lock the doors of the studio. I thought, you stay out of here. I'm doing my show. After my show, you can talk to me. During my show, get out.
Yeah. When the red light's on, nobody comes in.
Well, you would think, but, they thought, well, consultants, they got to tell you what to do. No, after the show, you can talk to me all you want, hours if you want, but not when I'm on the air. So I used to lock the studio. They used to be so pissed at me, but I did that. But, I was very independent. I had a good show. I had the number one show in Sacramento for many years. Only second, do you remember Paul Harvey? Paul Harvey used to be on the air with short stories about people and all this kind of thing. It was wonderful. He was number one in the country.
Paul Harvey. That name rings a bell, but I don't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but maybe I'm thinking of Paul. What's the guy who ate all the eggs? Paul Newman.
Oh, Paul. No.
Yeah.
Paul Newman's an actor. Paul Harvey used to be on the air. Was unbelievable. He's always had Americana stories on the air.
Oh, okay.
And he was like number one, and I was only number 2 to him. So I felt really encouraged that if I'm doing this, why are you trying to give me more advice as to what I should do on the air?
Yeah.
So anyway, I did that. Then I fell into radio because the program director was fired. And so I kind of thought, well, what do I do now? I start going around to the different stations, and someone said, hey, why don't you work for a lady? Her name was Dorothy Brandt. She used to write the entertainment guide in Sacramento for years and years and years. And I thought, okay, I can learn more about Sacramento by writing for the publication, because I had to go to these different places and interview people. So I did that for about 9 months, 8 or 9 months. And then someone said, hey, they're looking for a news person at, it was crack radio. It was country western.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I thought, Okay, I can do the morning news or the afternoon news and that. And that worked out just fine for me. I enjoyed it for about almost a year. I worked for a gentleman, he almost was like a second father to me in the business because he came from Los Angeles and he taught me how to get snippets on radio and how to write the news and all this kind of thing, which I never did because I was doing talk show. The one in WTTV in Indianapolis was a talk show. And so I thought, okay, well, I can learn that too. And I did that for about a year. And then I auditioned for, it was KCRA television and radio.
Oh,
They had
okay.
a radio too. So anyway, so I went over and auditioned and I got the job. It was to be the morning reporter. And I would sit in for anchors if they were off. And I thought, oh, this is cool. But I found out that the gentleman that I was working for, the news director at Crack Radio, had cancer.
Oh,
And it was cancer of the jaw, which, couldn't be anything worse for anybody that's on the air. And I didn't want to go. I thought maybe, because he didn't want to have surgery. He decided not to. And I thought, if I stay maybe with him a while longer, I could talk him into it, to doing the surgery. And I'll never forget, this is old school, but it's the way it used to be, honestly, Josh. He came to me one day and he said, "Did you get the job?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I want it, but, I'd like to stay on and maybe have you as my mentor for a little bit longer so I can learn more about radio because I've been in radio just a short time." Literally, he said, "You're fired." I said, "What? Why are you doing?" He said, "It's time for you to go." He said, "So either you go take that job or I'll fire you, and you're going to be looking for another job." That's the way they used to be.
he kicked you out of the nest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was at KCRA, which then turned into KGNR Radio when the Chicago Tribune bought it. But it was fun because it was a real family. It used to be a real family feel on radio and television. We used to go to lunch together. We would, have parties together, holidays together. It's not the way that is anymore, unfortunately. It's changed. And I feel bad for young people that are going into the business because two things you have to be aware of if you're going to get into either radio or television or even print media, which is kind of going away right now. You have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
Very thick skin. I learned early about the thick skin because I used to audition for plays and, doing commercials and that type of thing. So it taught me. It's not you necessarily when you go into audition. They may be looking for somebody with a different color hair or they didn't like the color of your eyes. I mean, it could be something so stupidly simple, but that knocks you out of the running. So you have to just basically say, it wasn't me, I did the best I could, and move on. So that's number one. Number two, you have to be flexible. A lot of people, well, I only want to do news, or I only want to do talk, or I only want to do... Well, if that's all you only want to do, you ain't going to be in the business for very long.
Yeah.
You have to be open to any of the possibilities. And if you are, you'll keep going. I mean, look at how long I've been in this business. Yeah. I never wanted to go to my dad was from Los Angeles, actually. But I never really wanted to go to Los Angeles because you get lost in the crowd. And I used to be called down. You'll love this. At one time, there were like 9 telethons on the air for different charities. Easter Seals, Children's Hospital, NAACP. I mean, a ton of them all the time. And I did all 9. And I would get a call from Los Angeles. Here I'm in radio at the time. I was at KFBK. And they said, "Would you come down and host the Easter Seals telethon in L.A.?" I said, "Are you kidding? Don't you have enough, high-class stars, all these people that can be on the air?" And they said, "No, you don't understand. The hosts of the show have to be flexible. If we say stretch, radio people can stretch. TV people who are actors and that kind of thing, they've got to have a script. And once they have that script, that's it. They can't. Or if you say, wrap it up. You can do that fast.
Yeah.
So
you actually had that person that was like behind the camera that was like doing the things, the hand motions to stretch it out or wrap it up.
Oh yeah. And they count you down.
Yeah.
And, in radio and television, on podcasts, I love podcasts because there's a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
There ain't no flexibility on radio and television.
Yeah. Well, with the dead air, that's a big, and you can't say bad words.
Well, there were
You know?
8. Now, I don't know how many there are because a lot of words are coming down from Washington you can't use anymore.
That's true.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, there were 8 words. Once in a while, I used to always warn my people on the air when I was doing talk shows. I said, I love you guys. I will take any questions that you have. We can discuss anything that you want to discuss. But don't use any of the swear words, because if you do, I'm never going to let you back on the air. Right. And believe me, we can track you. So one time, only one time, one person used a word, and we just bleeped it out. This is not a major problem. Most stations have a second delay. So if you push the button, it backs up 7 seconds. You don't have to worry. But never. I mean, people respected me for. I told them the way it was. If you want to get me in trouble, that's what you're going to do. You're going to use a word, but it's going to be your trouble, not mine.
Right.
Because I'll never have you back again. And I know how to find you. So
when I was I actually started. I took broadcasting in high school. And it was just this radio class, and mainly the kids the students just created commercials.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I was doing, and I didn't care for the teacher very much, so I was talking, and she said, "If you want to talk, get out of my class." I did. Never came back.
Really?
And, yeah. Then
a radio class, and she didn't want you to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a bad teacher.
Well, that's the thing, and I was like,
sorry, "That's a bad teacher."
Yeah, I was like, "Well, I have so much to say."
She should cultivate that.
Right. That's a good idea. I wish I would have brought that up to her when I was leaving, but
Well, you were in high school,
angst.
yeah. But you know what? The other thing too, you can help other young people because of that happened to you.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and I took journalism in college, and they wanted me to write to basically come to a certain conclusion on a report, and I was like, well, I'm trying to think outside the box, and it was like, I mean, so people can be on either one of the sides, but they said that this assignment was, why is Fox News, why do they say they're fair and balanced? How can they say that? And because they obviously lean one side, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to think outside the box, and I tried to say, well, they can say technically they're fair and balanced because on the grand scheme of things, they are one way and a lot of the other news is on the other side. So they kind of balance it out. Like I did a Star Wars analogy. About like the light and the dark side of the Force too.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this is the wrong answer. The wrong answer.
There is no wrong answer.
Yeah.
See, that's what they don't understand. But you know what the problem is? Have those people, have they ever been on the air, on the real air? No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they have probably, and this is the case with the teacher at the school too, is that they had experience like running a station or working for a station, but they weren't the on-air personalities.
That's right. And unless you have somebody who's been on the air, I don't care. You just don't know what it's like and how to face it. And the stress that goes along with it. You have to be able to handle that. Mm-hmm. And you have to be, if you take call-in questions, you got to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets into a, knockdown, drag out. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you never know where it's going to go.
No.
That's why that's why I called it what it is. It's caught in the moment.
Yeah.
Because it could be about anything.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about cars or sports or politics or news it's about whatever, and it's, I made sure to leave it open, you know?
Well, and the other thing too is you never know. That's the other thing I always tell young people. Listen. You got to listen to people. Mm-hmm. I do like a little summary or bullet points that I want to cover on the show, but sometimes the guest will say something that I never even thought about, or maybe they didn't tell me about the things that they had done. And I'll take you down, I call it going down the stream and then doing tributaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And follow that tributary. Haven't you seen both radio and television for that matter? Because I know I was a reporter on both. But it's like they ask a question and then you can see they're just looking for the next question. They haven't even heard what the person said.
Right.
That's not the way you should do it. Listen.
Yeah. I mean, I've had it to where, like, because I don't write them down or anything. I think of like, oh, this would be a good question to ask, or like maybe 2 or 3 things, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get going, and then an hour passes, and I'm like, oh, I didn't hit any of those.
And you did. So what?
Yeah.
So what?
And so have them on.
Oh, wait. What 3 questions did you want to ask me?
Well, I wanted to talk about the book.
Okay.
I also wanted to talk about your show because I listened to Popp Talk.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
I liked it. The last couple episodes, it was, I think. more about like the sci-fi, like aliens? Are they out there?
I'm fascinated about that kind of stuff. So periodically, I have them on. I have a variety of things. When I went from crack radio to KCRA, then back to I went from there to KSTE. I always used to say, my dad used to tell me, "What's the matter with you? You can't keep a job." But I said, "It's the biz." That's the way it is. And then I finally landed up at and it was a choice. I'm at FM 104.5 and AM 950 K-High, which actually broadcasts out of Auburn,
okay.
California, but it covers the Sacramento area, also all the way up to Reno. It's pretty expansive. But I liked it because it was an independent station. The only one, well, there's one other station in Sacramento that's independent, and that's KJAY. However, and God love them. I mean, they're wonderful people, but they're out in a trailer, out in a field. That's the station, which it's a station's a station.
Yeah.
But Auburn is a brick and mortar station, so it's got all the studios and all that kind of thing. But I love the independent station because they didn't tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. Jerry Henry, who's the owner of the station, when he asked me to come to the station, because he knew my reputation already by then, and he said, I said, the first thing I'm going to ask you, what do you expect of me? What kind of show do you want me to do? And then I'll tell you what kind I want to do. And he said, "Oh, you do whatever you want." He says, "You've got the experience, but just don't get me sued." And I said, "Okay, I can do that. I know how to not do that."
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Had people coming after me.
Well, I mean, the trailer, that's the independent, but what kind of makes them independent? Because the other guys, they take like big donor money or
No. That's not. We're not talking about nonprofit here. We're talking about for profit. KJ is independent because it has one owner that owns it. Auburn, it's Jerry Henry who owns it right now. And it's incorporated, obviously, but it's one owner. But when you see some of these stations in Sacramento, when I came to Sacramento in, 1977, there were like 23 radio stations. And they were all independent.
Oh.
McClatchy owned it, owned some. They owned radio and television and newspaper. They couldn't do that anymore because law got passed. You can't do that all in one market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's when things started changing. So, I mean, now it's Entercom, it's CBS, and they own like multiple stations in a market.
Oh, so there's like 3 or 4 companies that own all of them.
Pretty much.
Well, that's kind of like network TV too.
Absolutely. And that to me is sad because where's the competition factor?
Well, they're going away, right? Because what's happening is, you have individual podcasts like myself and like you, Popp Talk, and you don't need to get that FCC license.
No.
You need to get a board, you need to get a cheesy logo, and you need to get
I love it.
people on, and get the equipment, and you can make it happen.
Yeah. The only problem with podcasts, and I have to be honest with you, and I know because I've got some other shows that I'm developing right now, and they're going to be podcasts. They got to be able to find you.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are millions of podcasts out there. Some people just do it because they like to talk. It can be 2 or 3 people listening. They're happy. There's no problem. You and I don't have that. We want more people listening.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so you have to go after them. So you have to they have to, go to the search engines, and you got to get into the right search engines. That part, I don't want to be a part of. That I've got a producer for my one show. The Popp Talk, I produce and do the whole 9 year. I book it, interview it, and produce it. And I enjoy that. Mm-hmm. I was at the station. I used to anchor the new news, and then I did my talk show. Then my husband passed away.
Oh.
And so I said, I need a leave of absence because there was so much to do. I mean, my dining room table turned into my desk, because it was all paperwork.
Oh,
so it took, quite a few months after he passed for me to do that. They said, well, when you're coming back, we'll hold a spot for you. Come back. So I went back, but I said, I can't come 5 days a week. I just can't. There's still too much for me to do yet. But I said, I'll come back and do a 2-hour show. So the first show that I did for oh my gosh, from 2007 to 2023, I did one show. It was called Pop Off.
Oh,
And I used to. I say, oh, I pop off, and I do. But then when I came back, I said, I want to do something a little different, more edgy, more toward the science fiction, the afterlife, what's happening, and things to make people feel better, do better, and be better. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll rename it, and I call it Popp Talk.
yeah.
So
Very catchy.
Yeah, that airs actually on Saturday morning and Sunday evening on AM. It's FM 104.5 and AM 950 K High, and the show was just picked up by BBS Radio, which I did a national show with them back in the early 27, 8, something like that. For several years, I did a national show, almost like what you're doing in my bedroom was my
really?
setup with a Comrex. They don't do Comrex anymore. That's the Comrex anymore. Computer. It's all done by computer now. But I had a Comrex. I had a link to Los Angeles because they had to fire the commercials. And then I had my own little laptop that I would put the little segments of music or something that I wanted to play on my side. So I did a lot of interviews there. Suzanne Summers, Deepak Chopra. I mean, a lot of
Suzanne Summers?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And so that's the new show that I'm developing. Well, first about BBS Radio. If you want to hear the Popp Talk radio show, and you can either go to khigh.com. It's easier. It's so much easier now. You don't have to join in when it's live.
Right.
You can just go to KAHI.com, click on listen. It'll say audio on demand, and it'll come up Popp Talk Hour 1, Popp Talk Hour 2. You can listen 24/7 whenever you feel like it.
Just binge listen.
Absolutely. Whenever you want. When BBS Radio picked it up, they are carrying it, I believe, because I have to even look at this. It's bbsradio.com. And you can go anytime to listen to the show. It's also, they're carrying the Popp Talk show, the same one that I'm doing at the AM/FM station.
Oh.
And all you have to do is go to, it'll say bbsradio.com, find show. And it'll come up all the shows that they carry. And then you just click on Popp Talk, and there it is. I'm also on WNEW in New York, which is kind of cool.
All the way out there, huh?
Yeah. That's because of BBS Radio. They got me on there too. And it's you go to HD2, which is high definition 2, and it's on Friday night and Saturday morning. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put a link in the description here then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so everybody can find you.
Yay!
Not that they have problems. I think anybody would probably have more trouble finding me.
No. No, not at all. And I'm going to put you on my Facebook page.
Oh, hey.
And the stuff that you're doing. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's called networking.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to do that. Why not? Why can't we help each other?
Well, I've never really I don't really know if I've had people that are in the business on, really. A lot of people that I've had on, it's like their first time on a podcast.
Well, you'll never have anybody like me again. That's for sure.
Well, actually, I will. I'll have you again. So, hopefully, if everything goes right.
Yeah, it'll be fine anytime.
But, I found a lot of people, especially like in like my parents' generation, where they have such a distrust for podcasts and such a distrust of like, I don't want everybody knowing about me.
I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
You do not have to live under the same rules that I do.
Oh.
There are certain things I can't say on the air.
Right.
There are certain things that people can come after me if I can't prove that what I said on the air. On podcast, you can say anything you damn well please.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to come after you, which I don't think is fair. Doggone it.
But you're in our world too. You got a podcast?
I'm going to be doing one.
Yeah.
These are, the BBS Radio is a podcast.
Okay.
But it's a syndicated national podcast. But I'm developing a new show. And
Nice.
on top of everything else, it's like stupid at my age to have to do all these shows. But I love it. I love what I'm doing. It's going to be called Popp Star Talk.
Oh, hey.
Over the years, Josh, I have collected about 150 plus interviews with celebrities. And I saved them. Now, this is going to sound really weird to you, but it doesn't to people who are, maybe over 40 or 50. Some are still on cassettes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I still got cassettes, and then I've got them on CDs. I've got them on MP3s and DVDs from the television.
Oh, wow.
And so I have to transfer all those.
Right.
They have to be transferred. So we've done our pilot show. We're shooting for April 1, April Fool's Day.
Oh,
Don't
hey.
you love it?
Very ambitious.
No kidding, because I got to put 4 more shows in the can with my producer, who's in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, are you trying to release all 5 at once?
No.
Oh, just to do a backlog a little
the
bit?
networks always want at least 4 or 5 in the can before they start. So it's going to be amazing because I'm anal. I got to be honest with you. I'm always doing research on everybody. The pilot show we did, Tippi Hedren, you may not recognize, but you would if you remember the movie, The Birds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She was the blonde that got attacked by the birds.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody did.
Oh, yeah.
The birds got them all.
But she was the ingenue. And that was an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
She did two movies with him, The Birds and Marnie. And I said, did you ever, because he had, how do I say this and keep it clean? Alfred Hitchcock was a roamer. What's a good word for he went after blondes.
Oh, okay.
And he loved, if you see his movies, 90% of his movies are all blondes. All the female leads are blonde.
Well, there's a lot of directors that just kind of have that thing, right? Like,
well, he had more than a thing.
oh, well, have that kind of preference, right? Like where you have like, maybe it's a muse or whatever, like what Tim Burton does or Rob Zombie when he makes those questionable movies.
Yeah.
You know?
But Hitchcock, let's be honest, he went after the women. He really did.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I asked her if, they used to call her a Hitchcock girl. And she said, I don't care. I said, well, did he ever make advances? She said, I stopped it before he did.
He was a handsome devil, huh?
Well, no. But he had money and he had power.
Yeah.
Money and power. That's what carries these days, even back then.
Yeah, no doubt.
A good-looking man. Are you kidding, Mr. Potbelly?
I know. Yeah, the silhouette of him. Even the silhouette is like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
who would go for him?
That's terrible to have an ugly silhouette. Like, man, you got dealt that card.
Played it.
You know,
he was a cameo in all the stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm.
There was always a cameo of Alfred Hitchcock someplace in there.
Yeah,
he had an attitude, but he was smart. He was a good movie maker. I mean, let's be honest about it. But he was also a philanderer. But anyways, we had stories about that in the pilot. Also, did Rich Little. Rich Little is an impressionist who's still alive. I think he's like in his 80s now, probably in his 80s. But he does well over 200 voices. And I mean, he was like the original impressionist. There's a lot of people who do impressions now, but he's like the guru.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What was he? Did he do like cartoons and stuff?
No, he did stars.
Oh, really?
Stars. He came from Canada. I think it was Ottawa, Canada. He was born there. And he became a citizen this is many moons ago, decades ago. And when he was in front of the judge to take his oath, of citizenship, the judge asked him to do it in a John Wayne voice.
Really?
Yes. And he did it.
Did they catch it on video?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. John Wayne voice, and he did it for the judge who was going to give him his citizenship.
What did John Wayne think of it?
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah?
Ronald Reagan, President Reagan, he did a great Reagan. He really did. And Reagan loved it. And he used to have him back at the White House all the time to mimic him.
Man, I hope one day people do impressions of me.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go.
That's what I'm aspiring to, is have people do impressions of me and make fun of me.
Yeah.
So go wild, everyone.
Yeah. But he used to do Johnny Carson, all the TV hosts, but he also did a lot of stars, So he did Dr. Phil.
Oh, really?
Oh, God, he did a good Dr. Phil. Matter of fact, I had it on the pilot. And let's see who. Oh, and then we had Cheryl Tiegs. Cheryl Tiegs was probably the first supermodel professional to make it big as a model and money and everything else. So that was our pilot, to give a little snippet of each of these people, because those are just 3 of 150 that we're going to go after. Because I've done Carol Channing, and I've done Oh my gosh, I try to remember. Oh, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie. Let's see, Happy Days. Marion Ross, who I wish I could have her on again. She is like 95.
Who'd she play on Happy Days?
Mom. The
Oh,
mom.
really?
Yes, the mom. And let's see, Anson Williams, who played one of the buddies to Ron Howard. And then I've had, let's see, from Little House on the Prairie, they call her, can I say the word bitch?
Sure, it's just a female dog.
Oh, that's it. Well, she wrote a book. And her name is Arngrim. She played the brat on Little House on the Prairie. She'd always be against Melissa Gilbert and all that. The blonde with the curls and all that. If you see it, you'll know exactly who she is. But she wrote a book called The Book of the Prairie Bitch. And she is so fun. I've done about 3 interviews with her, and we just laugh our ways through the interviews because it's so fun.
Yeah, well, people that seem to like play the villains kind of relish in that. You know, like you have to be a certain kind of person to play the villain and just nail it.
Yeah.
You know, to make people not like you, but you're actually a likable person.
Yes.
That's a skill.
Yes, absolutely. And she's still performing. She does a one-woman show. Rich Little is still performing his one-man show across the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, still going. But I mean, these are the kinds of people that I interviewed over the years. And I go all the way back to Rock Hudson.
Yeah.
You know, on TV. And of course, you know, when he was in Indianapolis, he was gay. We all knew it. But we couldn't say anything on the air. That was not permissible at that time, which was not right. It was his choice. You know, if he wanted to come out, he would. But he was a leading man. He did all these wonderful movies with Doris Day and all that. I mean, he was a hunk. He really was a hunk.
I think that probably would have tanked his career, right?
Oh,
Back then,
absolutely.
that would have been it for him.
It would have been done. It would have been done. But, you know, the people at the station knew where to take him to gay bars and everything. And so what? We don't care. He was great on the air, just a real sweetheart. And so at the end of the show, I said, I had to do this. I said, can I get Rock Hudson to give me a kiss on the air? And he said, sure. You know, and he leans over and he gives me this great big smooch. And I'm going, yay! You know, I get Rock Hudson to kiss me on the air.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, that's the career accomplishment. That's it.
Yeah.
You could have quit right there and been on top.
Yeah.
You know?
But I had so much fun with these people. Paul Lynde was a comedian, funny as all get out. They used to do Hollywood Squares.
Oh, yeah.
And he was always the one that always had something going on stupid and crazy. And he came to the studio. I interviewed him in Indianapolis at that time, that Starlight Backstage, because he was in one of the shows. And he comes in, and I swear, Josh, he looked like he was in his pajamas. And I went, okay, sit down. Let's see, we're going to do this interview. Well, it was summer, because it was like summer stock, and I had sandals on. And he kept looking at my toes. And I'm going, what are you looking at my toes for? And he goes, I love your toes. You know, I think he was smashed, to be honest with you.
He goes in his pajamas?
Yes. And it's just like funny. The whole thing had me in stitches the whole time. Yet some of these people, I didn't even have to interview them very much. Just kind of get them started, and they take it from there. The stand-up comedians always did that. I had Elaine Bosler on, and she was the same way. It's just the good comedians. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
Because they can take over the show. Yeah. Now, they were dealing with somebody who also was never going to let the microphone out of my hand. So they always say, well, let me take the microphone. No. No.
Jeez. Well, I mean, pajamas, though. Was he on camera?
Oh, yeah. It was TV.
Pajamas on camera? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's different.
But it just looked like pajamas. It did. Maybe it wasn't, but it looked like pajamas. And he was in sandals, bare feet. But he kept looking at my toes, you know, and I say, what are you looking at my toes for?
You should be like, I like your toes, too.
Well, I did.
Just throw it back at him.
Yeah, I did.
How he handles that.
Oh, he loved it. Are you kidding? That just turned him on to ask there would be more jokes.
Oh, no. Backfired.
Yeah, but it's fun. These are the people I interviewed that were very, very well known in their time. And some of them were even before my time, because I was pretty young when I first started that. But I loved it. I mean, loved doing interviews, not only with stars, but I expanded into doing interviews, all kinds of things. And crazy things that would happen on the air, Josh. When I was doing my first television show, of course, I was still a novice. I was learning as I was going along. And at that time, women were not allowed to do really heavy topics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, are you kidding? In the 70s? Come on.
70s. Well, I don't know. I mean, my car was around back then. I was not.
Yeah, well, your car. Well, understand. Don't you understand?
Bumblebee understands.
There you are. Is that what you call him, Bobby?
Bumblebee.
Oh, Bumblebee. Oh, yeah, because he's yellow. I love that. Okay. Anyway, so one time I had a gal on who was from some major company, and what she was doing is touring Johnson & Johnson. It was
okay.
Johnson & Johnson. And they were sponsoring her going across the country, being interviewed, talking about how to have more hobbies with your husband. And I'm going, oh, God, I'm going to be doing this. Okay. So fine, I had her on. So my producer and I came up with an idea to have a boat, a canoe boat in the studio on little horses, those wooden horses. Mm-hmm. And then they would put a green screen behind me of a lake. And I thought, oh, that's nice. We'll be in there. We'll have a fishing pole like we're actually fishing. I had to be creative because I thought, boring,
Yeah.
A hobby with my husband? If I can't figure out a hobby with my husband, then you're going to teach? Anyway, fine. Okay, you'll be on the show. So we were in there, and of course they had these big Klieg lights to light us correctly in that boat. And honestly, this is like 2 to 3 minutes before the show ended. Thank you, God. My producer got into, this head that he was going to get on the floor with a bucket of water and splash water on us, like to show like I was really on a lake, with a green screen behind me. And he hit the Klieg light with water.
Oh!
And it actually blew up. And it started on fire. It was on fire.
How close were those to you?
Too close. We were sitting toward the middle, and the Klieg lights were on either side. The Klieg light was behind her. When she heard that explosion, she froze. She couldn't talk anymore. She got so scared. Now, I had to keep talking for 2.5 minutes because that's how much time I still had on the air. So I kept talking, keeping my eye out. How far is this fire coming toward us?
Whoa!
Yes. And as soon as that was done and they said, cut, man, we jumped out of that thing so fast.
And swam to shore.
Yes, that's a shame. Exactly. In a bucket of water, So those are the kinds of things that used to happen. Sets would fall in. The show was live. This was not pre-taped. So nothing could be taken out of it because it was live.
Do you have like the 7-second delay, or that's only for radio?
That's only radio.
Oh.
This was live. So the guys, I used to have, being a live show, it was scary. I would bring in people with, because I thought it was fun, from the zoo with snakes, and wallabies and stuff like that. Well, when I brought in rattlesnakes, the crew, it was a three camera shoot. These were these big honker cameras back then, not little tiny ones like we have now. And the crew moved way back in the studio with the cameras. They said, no, we're not getting close to, And they used to try and pull jokes on me all the time. If I was doing a serious interview, one of the guys would get behind the guest so that he couldn't see him, but I could. And he'd, drop his drawers.
What?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I had him do everything to try and break me up.
He dropped trow just right there when you're trying to keep it together?
Absolutely. But see, those were fun days. I mean, seriously, because it was a challenge. Mm-hmm. They never broke me up. They never broke me up. Really? Nah, when I'm on the air, I don't give a doggone what's happening around me. I'm focused. That's it.
Wow. I mean, dropping trout. You would get in some trouble for that now, today.
Oh,
some serious trouble.
Big time trouble. But not back then.
But everybody, it's like you said, back then, everybody went to lunch together. They were friends. They knew that John's the guy that always pulls his pants down. He's always going to do that.
They did all kinds of stuff. They'd hold signs up. They'd do all kinds of crazy things to break me up behind the guest. And the guest didn't know. They couldn't see him. So, but anyways, I believe me, I've seen and done just about everything. I was out at I used to do my show live from the state fair. Mm-hmm. I did that here too, but I did it in Indianapolis, which it's a bigger thing in Indianapolis. It's more ag and more rural.
Sure.
It's much more rural.
Sure.
And I used to have people on with these big, huge horses on and snakes. And I'll never forget, one day I took my mother with me. And she was in the audience, and it was outside. It was outside. And this guy came with a python. around his neck. And he said, would you like to have the python? I went, yeah, sure. Put it around my neck. No problem. My mother almost had a heart attack. She thought, the snake is going to kill her, and it wrapped its head around my wrists. And I thought, oh, okay, it's a friendly snake. This is a long thing. And I could see my hands were turning kind of white.
Oh, no.
Because it was getting tight around my wrist. So I had to say to the guy, if you don't mind, could you unwind these from my wrist? I'd appreciate it. But I used to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Python, other kinds of animals. I loved animals. So it's like, bring an animal over, no problem. A wallaby was so cute.
Yeah.
She said, be careful, he kicks. And I'm going, okay. I kissed an ostrich. That kissed me back, but it also spit. They spit.
They're not very nice. They're not like emus.
No, they spit.
Yeah, they're like the mean one. And like llamas to alpacas, like alpacas are the nice ones, llamas are the mean ones.
Yes.
And like wallabies and kangaroos are the mean ones.
Wallabies are littler, but they're nastier.
Oh, really? They are?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that just my whole worldview.
Oh, and you'd love this too. One time this guy came in. I don't even remember what he was talking about. I think in financial stuff or whatever. And he brought this, but because he had a chimpanzee that traveled with him. I mean, a full-size, good-sized chimpanzee, dressed in a suit. I mean, a really nice suit with a vest and a little attaché case.
Really?
Yes. I've got a picture of that. The next time I'll bring it. They took a picture of me, and I said, put him on the studio, on the set before the show. I said, put him on the set. And I took a picture with him, and he gave me a kiss, and it was just real sweet. And they said, you got to be careful because sometimes he loses his temper. And I'm going, they told me that after, which is okay. But he was on the set and he was just adorable. I said, that's the best guest I've ever had.
Yeah, very well dressed. He didn't come in pajamas?
No.
He didn't drop his trousers behind you?
No. Like I said, I've just had about all of it that can possibly happen. I've had it done.
I would be more scared of that chimpanzee than the snake.
They have the strength like 10, 15 times the strength of a human being.
Well, you saw when that lady had a chimp and she like fed it wine.
Tore her face off.
Yeah. Wine and Xanax. Yeah. I mean, if I took wine and Xanax, I'd probably rip somebody's face off too. I don't know, but that is insane. Have you seen the show Chimp Crazy?
No.
So it's about like, you've seen Tiger King, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Tiger King, except it's with people that have chimpanzees, and it's mostly women that have these chimpanzees. And it's very, very borderline disturbing. It's very weird, like the relationship, because it almost takes on the
human-like relationship.
Yeah. And I mean,
don't worry about it. That'll be passé because artificial intelligence will take over that.
Pretty soon we'll just have robot chimps.
That's right. No, I'm serious. There are people now that have a relationship with AI.
Yeah.
And that is scary. And I'll tell you the reason why. What happens to humanity? Well, there's a humanity that's going to be lost.
Right. And not only like humans as like a consciousness, but like breeding. Like the numbers are going down. Like we were thinking for a while we're going to overrun the world. There's too much of us, but now it's like the birth rate's declining. I mean, I want to crank out an army of kids. My wife says no.
No, I don't blame her. Hey, if you could, I always used to say, the woman has the first baby.
Yeah.
If the man could have the second baby, then the woman would have the third baby, and there would never be any more babies after that. Let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just seeing all that happen where, like, taking the baby out of there, it's like,
yeah.
Because they had to cut her.
Oh, she did a C-section.
My daughter was 11 and a half pounds.
Oh, she's a big girl.
Yeah, and she's going to be very tall like her mom, but it was fascinating to me to see all like the doctors take the pieces out, like, oh, take this out, set it here, it here. I was like, you guys remember where all this stuff goes, right? Because I mean,
I hope.
I'm replacing the alternator and I'm doing that same thing and I leave something out.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you leave something in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and that's happened in the past. Sponges.
Yeah.
Even instruments have been left inside a person.
Yeah.
And when somebody has something removed, didn't you ever wonder, does everything adjust inside missing that piece?
Yeah.
Like if they take out for anybody, any kind of organ, and there's going to be a vacant space there. But they say it fills in eventually. The body readjusts and puts the organs in the right place.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, because, like you take out a kidney and all of a sudden you have like an indent there or something,
Yes.
I mean, that's crazy stuff.
Kidney, liver, heart, for gosh sake. They replace a heart with maybe more of a mechanical heart. I mean, what's being done is incredible these days. And every day it changes. And new things are happening, which is great. But AI, don't get me wrong. I've got my Siri that I talk to all the time.
Oh.
And I get all, because I get lazy, Hey, Siri, tell me how to get there, Siri, look this. Siri, turn the phone off now because I got to keep it off for a little bit and then turn it on in an hour, And it's like, that's lazy, we're getting lazy. But it's fun if we use it as a tool.
Right.
I don't want it telling me what to do.
Right.
And there was a movie. Did you ever see the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, WALL-E was like in storage for like, I don't know how long. And then he came out and he saw how the robots basically took over. And these people would just be there like lumps on a log.
Fast obs, just, barely able to like move.
To move, yeah. And I thought, there was also another movie. That I still remember that one, but I also remember another movie where robots became like androids, like Data from
from Star Trek?
Next Generation. And I thought, if they become like that, and then could they become sentient? There was one episode that they talked about, could he ever be sentient? And I've asked people who are into AI research, because I've had them on my show, and I said, seriously, do you think that it would get to a point, maybe not in my lifetime or the next lifetime, but maybe that they could become sentient? I always got a pause, Josh, and they would say, we don't know. When you say we don't know, they probably know.
It is, and it's going to be probably within the next couple of years.
You think so? That soon? Could be.
Yeah, I mean, AGI is coming within a couple of years, and I think there's something after that too, which is even more like Terminator stuff.
Oh yeah,
where it's if we don't get it, but the thing is, like, if we don't get a handle on it, some other country will.
Well, but we've got to have some kind of. That's the only problem. We can have rules and regulations here, but the rest of the world doesn't have to follow our rules and regulations.
Right.
And you're right. I mean, absolutely. But artificial intelligence, it can be a good. I mean, for medical things, could be great. But I don't want people to become so dependent that they don't relate to people anymore.
Right. And it's interesting that you say that, because we just bought a car outside the GMC. We just got that, and it has all these, like, a backup camera and the lane things and all these.
My Toyota has the same thing.
Yeah, but like, this doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I don't even use the backup camera. I turn everything off in there. I don't do like the automatic like brake assist, because it's like, that's not how I learned to drive. And I don't want that to like screw me up. And I
like the backup camera.
Really?
Yes, I like the backup for parallel parking.
Oh yeah.
Parking.
So you can tell it's straight.
Yeah, it's straight, and that how close I am to the curb.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be too far, but I don't want to be on top of it either. So that helps a little bit.
I know my rims appreciate that.
Yeah. Exactly. The scrapes.
But it makes me feel less connected. I've always felt like cars were not just a machine.
But this was a car.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a car when cars were really cars. This is a muscle car.
Yeah.
And they have these advertisements. Our first car, my husband and I, when we were married, we got a Dodge Charger.
Oh, hey.
Oh, and this was a 1970 Dodge Charger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about a muscle car.
Yeah.
It was red on the outside with black strip, and inside was red.
Wow.
And I mean, cool. And we had 8-track tapes. My God,
Really?
don't even know what 8-track tapes are anymore, but they're like collectibles now.
I know.
But it's so funny. But things change. I understand that, and it's wonderful. And AI, I use it, like I said, on my phone and in the computers. that's kind of AI. But I also go on the air periodically and I say, well, this is Mary Jane Popp on Popp Talk. Maybe. I said, because the way AI now, they can mimic anybody, anytime, speaking in their language and saying the kind of things that they say.
I actually did that with...
You didn't.
I did. I swear. So me and the reason actually I started a podcast was because it was actually my grandpa's idea. He wanted to start one.
Okay.
Right. And so, because we grew up, I was always like helping him with work and riding around in the truck with him, and he would always have talk radio on. So we'd always listen to something.
Uh-huh.
And he wanted to start a podcast. And so I was like, okay, I'll do all the research.
There you go.
We'll get it done. I'll see, what equipment you need to get and everything like that. So he got kind of sick, and so he wasn't able to do it.
Aww.
But we got one episode done, and I aired it a while ago, just the audio of it. But and when he passed away, I took that audio and I made an AI voice model of him. So it's kind of like that's the good part. I made him say, may the force be with you.
Yeah.
Always. It's just like things like that. That's the good part about it.
But it can be creepy.
Absolutely.
I mean, with CG, computer generated stuff, the movies, you don't know if you're looking at the real thing.
Right.
When they did Gladiator, this is a ways back, but still, when they did the movie Gladiator, the arena was all full of people. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was a small group of people, and then the computer changed a little bit each one so that it looked like it was absolutely full of different people. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
If you listen to like the actors that are in those Marvel movies, they talk about actually performing it and everything and how they shoot it. It's all green screen, and everything is just like, you don't even like do the moves. They CGI the moves that you're doing, like the actions and everything like that.
Hey, I love green screens. I did weather for about 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Sacramento on TV, Channel 31. And I used to Christine Kraft was an anchor at the time, and we were good friends. And I had just left KFBK, and I was at Crack Radio doing some features. And she said, "Why don't you come and do some fill-in for me on weather?" And I thought, okay, I've never done weather before, but I can do it. So because in California, we have weather, but we don't have weather. It's not like back east.
We had weather about an hour ago.
Yeah, but that was nothing, compared to tornadoes and hurricanes and all that kind of thing. So anyway, so I went over there, and it was green screen behind me. But it wasn't. It showed the map, but I couldn't look at it because it was a green screen. So I'd have to look off to the side and the monitors to be able to see. So I was looking at everything backwards. You had to get used to that.
So moving to the right is actually, you have to move to the left. That is very hard to get used to. I'm surprised that they just have people fill in for that.
For what? You mean
for weather, because that's such a hard thing to get used to.
Oh yeah, but you get used to it after a while. It's no problem. It's worse when you have the ear, because you always have an earpiece, whether you're anchoring or doing the weather or features or whatever, and they're talking to you while you're talking. Yeah,
that's got to be nerve-wracking.
I mean, it's been, the computer's down. Keep talking. Oops. What do I say now? But you just have to remain calm and keep talking.
But the show must go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I've ran into with this is like, sometimes I'll schedule people and it'll be like, they're not in the business. They don't have a radio show. They don't understand like the scheduling, where it's like, I gotta get a show out this week, because it's not really anybody that's telling me to do it, but it's me telling myself to be consistent.
Of course.
And then just the scrambling at the end, like finding something. And so one time somebody canceled on me like the day of, and it was like Tuesday, right? And I'm supposed to put out a show on Wednesday. So I was like, what am I going to do? And so I just ordered a pizza from Domino's, and I put in there in the notes, like, send somebody who wants to be on a podcast. And had him on, had the pizza guy on with his like Domino's hat, the Domino's shirt.
Well, it was good advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean.
Hey, if you ever have a problem, just give me a call.
I certainly will.
There's nothing I won't talk about. Seriously.
Okay.
You can ask me anything. You can ask me about my sex life. It only takes 10 seconds.
Well, I'm married. I'm getting there too. So, well, my wife doesn't watch the show anyway. So,
But no, seriously, it has to be real. That's the one thing I always try to keep. Both when I do radio and television, I don't want it to be slick. I want it to be real. I want it to be a lot of the female guests, especially that I had star types. She said it's almost like we're sitting having a glass of wine together, on the couch and just chit chat. That's the way it should be. The slick stuff, put it in the movies and the series.
Are you saying I'm not slick?
No. Yes, I am. And that's good. No, that's a good thing. You're real. Because we have enough of the other stuff that's being done. All this stuff is pre-taped. They can edit. They can take something out. They can put something in. We can't. This is it, man. Whatever you got coming out of your mouth, that's it.
Yeah. What you see is what you get.
Yep. So, what else do you want to know?
Well, actually, I am going to have to pick up my daughter.
Oh, my God. Plug the book, and then I'll come back and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't catch the beginning, Marilyn, Joe, and me by Jane Popp, our esteemed guest for today. And don't forget to check out her show, Popp Talk.
Popp Talk, and I'll put this up on Facebook so they know about you too.
Oh, awesome.
But again, AM and FM, that's FM 104.5 and AM 950 K-High, and also bbsradio.com. And upcoming, and I'll be probably closer to doing that show by then, Popp Star Talk. All that coming up.
Yeah, we'll put links in the descriptions. We'll make sure everybody's going to know. So
I love it. Thanks, Josh. This is a pleasure. It was so fun talking with you.
The pleasure was all mine. Thank you for getting caught in the moment with me.
Absolutely. Caught in the moment.
Yeah.
I love that. I'll close with my thing that I do on all my shows.
Sure.
Live simply, laugh often, love deeply, and above all else, dare to dream.
Hell yeah. I'm all for that.
You got it.
All right. See you guys.